Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, all. Welcome, everyone, to Twitch, and welcome to your coverage of ETF2L 6v6 AFS. AFS. A fun season, a firm start, a fraudulent season. 2025, week 3 is the current week that we're going in. Would you believe, not Stephen, that it is week 3 of our grand AFS season?
I wouldn't, because it doesn't feel like enough games have simply been played yet for that to happen. It's been quite dry so far, I think, for the amount of coverage we've been able to have. But things are starting to be scheduled. We are seeing more games coming through here. This will be the last game of week 3. I think we already have a couple of games scheduled for Tuesday and Thursday. So we got plenty of action coming up. But for this week 3 game, we are going to be seeing NANDEM facing off against the Demo Night team of Aware here. Aware winning Division 1 last season, making them come up all the way into Prem for this season. Struggling a bit thus far, have played their Week 1 and Week 2 maps, losing both of those, coming close on some maps previously, but not able to clinch out a single point thus far. And I think this NANDEM team is going to be a difficult one. We've seen this NANDEM team just play 1 week so far, but it was a double 5-0 in like 15 minutes. They looked absolutely incredible. And they did actually play this map of Bagel where they looked very, very good. I will say, though, there's a demo night on the team of Aware. Is kind of the gimmick of this team, and it kind of goes quite well on Koth. What are your thoughts on the demo night as a bit of a Sixers elitist?
Well, believe it or not, I don't mind a sweeping bit of change coming through the 6v6 lands. I think there's a lot more things that are viable than people give credit for. I think this entire season is really kind of a huge hot pot of just incredibly awkward and strange things. Obviously, not only is it like the limit, the lower amount of teams are kind of, maybe taking things a little less seriously. You have people kind of joining in and then mishmashing teams as they go along in matches. And then this is obviously the one where everyone's got their eyeballs on this demo night and whether or not it's going to have impact. But, I'm going to give a bit of wiggle room for the demo night team, for our boys in on Red Aware. They are a new Div 1 team coming into Prem. And usually there's always growing pains associated with that, shield or not. So, but a lot of people are going to put into question, is it actually down to the play style, or is it just because they're kind of newbies in this fresh-faced Prem?
Yeah, I think the majority of the players, to be fair, on this Aware side have not played Prem before. I think the only ones are going to be Omga, and Orange Trier, who have previously played it. But enough of our yapping. We are going to be going straight into things. And the first thing I saw was Bukon Sniper, and I was really hoping we would see that come out. However, looks like it's going to be cookie cutter from both sides here. Why don't you take us away, Turbo?
All right. Well, I can confirm the shield is out, so there's going to be no stickies pressing out for Aware in the start of this Bagel mid. So it's kind of coming down to that first charge to see whether or not you can actually fish out that first kill. But they're going to be brutally aware of it over on NANDEM. So, and you can see all eyeballs right now. We're just literally on Odin. Even Odin's teammates are all looking at him. Hopefully, he can fish out one player. He has gone down. He is the first frag going down. He's allowed a bit of eyeballs to drift away from Sake for 1 second, but he will also get cleaned up as well. And it seems the simple way to play Bagel for NANDEM is just stand your ground and wait for the shield.
Yeah, I think maybe they were hoping someone might overextend and then Odin could go for that charge kill, but they played it well. They played inside their houses, spammed him down on the point, and didn't give him a chance to really get in and do anything. Didn't even have a single charge here. And now they've been able to set a forward hold here on the side of NANDEM. Very hard to get through. Luckily, there's a change where you can get through this left door. Uber is popped out on the side of Aware, traded straight back on the side of NANDEM. Here, it's going to be a classic scout solo onto Boulder here. However, soldiers jumping in for the post have taken a little bit of a space here. There's a fight going on. Lardox hitting the double leg shot to take down the demo man of Odin here. It's looking better here from NANDEM so far, especially with Omga going down. It's going to be difficult for them to stay in this fight. However, they're getting a lot of cap time. Want to pressure this side of NANDEM. potentially do manage to get the point, but State going down for it, they need to be careful that Unforgiven can get out of this.
Yeah, they kind of put everything into that cap, hoping just to squeeze it over, but they've kind of lost track of the sight of these house, and the scouts were kind of just picking them off one by one in these house areas and cleaning up these rough kills. And yeah, I'm not really sure I'll feeling the impact of the Demo Knight so far, but this is the kind of play that could make something happen now, which is these fancy little jumps. He's managed to survive all of this aggro as well, so this is the best scenario that you actually could hope for a Demo Knight.
Yeah, blank down as well, and it's the Force that comes in with that charge from Odin here. It's a Scout on the chase here. Luckily, Buko is on the beam, going to give Scout speed to Unforgiven there. They're not going to be able to get anything else, but they're getting good cap time during all of this. Looks like it is just going to be Buko charging in deep and is alone now. Will get taken down, just slowing things down. They do get the Force, but it's already 2 minutes off the clock from the side of NANDEM. They need to try to get in. They have 100% Uber charge here, but they're going to want to take this point for free.
Alright, so you've got no Demo Man. You haven't really got the initial same sort of power of jump from the stickies. They're just going to take the solo. Oh, I say the solo. Odin actually comes in, drives by in to actually pick up the remainder of that Uber. And they even find arcades as well on the medic class, but they're deep behind enemy lines right now. But Odin is supporting his scout rather than the other way around, and they're finding lots of kills and lots of chaos about this. And Odin keeps fishing throughout all of this. When one player is down, it is so much easier for Odin to make it work.
Yeah, it's just one thing that's not watched, one player that can't spam, and he just unleashed. It feels like he's playing this game quite happily to try to allow his teammates to get out, try to punish just a single player and let his team just play off of that chaos, and it's worked so far as the charge keeps coming in. Huge turn, takes down Blank. That's a 1-for-1 trade, and it's not too bad when you are defending here. However, it's Soldiers bombing it in deep. It's going to be 3 down here for the side of Aware. They have double scout on the beam. They do use out the Uber, but this medic surely of Arcady is too far out. He's not. Omga and Buko double up for that kill onto the medic, but now they need to keep their medic of Forgiven alive here. Looks like he should be out safe and sound. Good play there from the side of Aware.
Yeah, they were kind of all just banking on that flank from Pandemic and Haunts, and it didn't really sync up the way they were hoping for. And Odin, he's back to the world of the living, and he will send some people dying. Haunts going down, and this is what makes the Demo Knight so annoying to play with, as you could just... Once he gets that one kill on the board, he kind of snowballs. He gets all that health back, and he can just kind of make all this focus fire seem a bit wasted over on NANDEM.
Yeah, he's just such a distraction the whole time. You're always worried this Demo Knight might be coming in, so you position yourself slightly differently. I think taking the high ground there with the Soldiers is probably the best. If you can spam him from 2 angles, he just has no chance. Uber used out on Aware. They are going to take down Blank. There's a big charge coming through. Can they find any more crucial picks? They will get 2. It's enough to win this initial fight, and they have brought the timer down to evens. However, Arcades 80% on the Uber, so it's going to be Uber advantaged for the side of NANDEM as they try to break this forward hold. But there's no one there at all.
What people kind of forget as well is he is rocking the shield kind of resistance as well, so it takes a lot more damage to actually lay into Odin and commit onto him. So he will throw himself to the Uber to force it out, so he will go down for his sins, but now it's kind of up for the rest of the team of Aware to kind of make sure that the forward hold does not settle in from NANDEM.
Yeah, this is a really strong position here for NANDEM. They still don't quite have the Uber here. As the seconds tick down, it should be the side of Aware having a slight Uber advantage here, but it's very little time they're going to have to use it. It is going to be Omga in straight away, but Safe dying in the background as well as Omga here. 2 players down. It's not great. Odin, however, somehow managing to get that charge kill.
Yeah, they were doing some shenanigans, and Blank is just not longed for this world. He's going to get sliced and diced on the midpoint, and they're trying to block it best they can, just get any little sort of squeezing seconds out of their point capture over on NANDEM. So much so that they've actually popped off the Uber. They want to bring this into full overtime, so even if they lose the point, they just have to cap it back, and it's an insta-win.
Yeah, overtime is really strong here. It is a full Uber advantage, but you can't drop players here, and that's Buko getting dropped by Unforgiven. Can they find any crucial kills to keep them in? They're so well positioned here on the side of Nanda. This is a pedigree.
You can't give up the point.
Players.
You need to block. They're just, I think that was a 1-0 in their hearts. But it was a very competitive first round to say that this is a David and Goliath matchup here, not Stephen.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably the season favourite of NANDEM on the blue side here. And to bring it to 20 seconds is not too shabby at all. I think they kind of understood how they wanted to play after about that 2-minute mark. It was a bit of a struggle at the start for Aware to really get in, but I think after a while we really saw Odin become a bit more unleashed here. They played around those Ubers really well, taking that double scout. Uber managing to get the medic as well, and had a lot of advantages, but just couldn't quite convert when they got to that scrappy last scenario here. But it's a second round here. What will they change?
Well, it's a new mid, it's new me, but it worked so well last time. Actually, he's managed to weasel his way in, and Odin has actually found enough room for his team to play off, and that charge not only gets out some damage, but the good, like, shouting Demo Man is the green light to go, it seems. It's very easy, and imagine, for the side of Aware to just jump when you hear that Demo Man just going, ah!
I thought that was a great impression.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
But yeah, they just get some initial kills, and then it just allows that Demo Knight to get in, and they are just supporting so well. There's always two players chasing one kill, so you're always worried that Demo Knight might do more than he potentially can do. And it isn't just going behind into this house, trying to catch some players unaware here. However, they are trading a couple of players here. There are a few behind here, but they really do. They just do that.
They can't have him under control. You need to keep in mind as well that this is not your average Demo Knight where you think if you're around a corner you're safe. You're not safe though. This man has got like a driving wheel and probably some other game pads and other things locked into his TF2, so he can make these sorts of little turns on this Demo Knight class and just fish you out of nowhere.
A nice airshot by Sake, denies the cat just for now. However, can't stay on the point. Kambuko looks like he wants to go for a trade here. Uber is used out earlier. Might not have to use very early at all on Arcades. Looks like he might actually just completely get out scot-free from this.
Oh, he's going to get picked off here, so now they have to get on top of Arcades. They're trying to find the air shot, doesn't quite link up, however. It's Boulder versus the world, though, or is it Boulder versus his scattergun reload? He actually does manage to get enough loaded into the chamber. Now he's trying to hunt down these ones that have dipped inside his base. There's a Demo Knight involved, but they've all managed to click the same square, and they will bring down that evil Demo Knight.
Yeah, good job to try to get that force afterwards, but just got a little disconnected with Buko, did Unforgiven during that and just couldn't escape over the point, unfortunately. And this has given the points back in the favour of NANDEM here. They have got this forward hold. It hasn't been too much of a struggle so far to break this, but they sometimes lose a soldier or two or a scout, and they just can't really afford to do that, as Odin just gets absolutely deleted by Spam as he comes through that door. He is that distraction. He is the player that everyone is looking at. It's a huge air shot by Haunts, and that's an absolute decimation of the Aware side.
Well, they almost got a jump onto Arcades, but it didn't quite work out. And this is the weakness of the Demo Knight, where you have all your players lined up, they're all in an arm's reach of each other, and they can help each other out, not only by kiting out this Demo Man and bouncing him around, but just kind of just stun locking him, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be a sack attempt for Aware here. It's 100% Uber advantage for the side of NANDEM. It is the Demo Knight in. It is a force out, and it's a pick onto Horse. Wasn't even the initial target I think that Odin wanted to go for. But it doesn't matter at all about that force, because Unforgiven died to Lardox on a flank in the background.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it a flank. It was more just they decided to take the Uber in. You've got to realise that if you make these sort of attempts and coordinated pushes out, usually teams like to get all buffed up and healed up. So you know if the medic is kind of sniffing around in the area, and you can probably just clean him up with a simple scout Uber on top of him. Usually the counterplay of this is just to make sure you've got your medic with a scout buddy, so you can just take the scout taxi out, but they were just caught with their pants down.
Yeah, during all of this, however, both medics have died, things have evened up, and Aware has got to the point once again. Small Uber advantage for them, but not going to be in play during this fight as they just bust out of this left-hand side door. It's Odin been behind.
Arcades, the charging and around the corner as well. This is a very, very strange TF2 that these players are not used to. Usually areas where you're thinking about, should I be worried about the bomb? Should I be worried about a trap? Now you don't even feel safe in like simple rooms and around corners and in protected ceilings.
Yeah, you have to think, should I be worried about the Demo Knight just somehow hitting a 90-degree turn into my medic? And that's exactly what happened here. Unforgiven, about to get this Uber here. They could go for something aggressive. Worked out well last time, taking it through this left-hand side.
Oh
medic
my God,
in main.
Arcades.
Oh, he's not long for this world.
Get out of there. No, it seems he will go down. And they just bolt out of there. Mission accomplished, gentlemen. We can just clean up whatever remnants of NANDEM team has left on this midpoint, and Lardox is that remnant, and he will be down.
They have been playing these double scout Uber advantages so well on these sides of Aware here. It's a team that, you know, you don't kind of expect to be able to take these Ubers so effectively, but they absolutely can. It is open in onto the Demo Man, taking down Blank. He's on a scout as well.
He's got the third pick as well. He's going to get the Medicus on top of that. Oh, he would have got the 4K, well, maybe even the 5K if he just kept on going. But yeah, all it takes is that first initial kill, because all that damage that you poured into that Demo Man just gets healed back up again. It's very easy for him to create space like that. But at the same time, you feel awful spending all of your players' attentions and ammo on this one dude, where it feels like it's a little bit more inefficient, or 20% inefficient to be exact. But yeah, it's fine. One round on the board for Aware. NANDEM, they've still got some rounds to kind of get used to this Demo Knight idea.
So that was absolute cinema and to the round here. I think they kind of understand some of the angles that Odin's going to be going from, and hopefully NANDEM players here should be able to react, should be able to understand what they need to change up. Because, yeah, there's definitely a playbook here from Odin. It is some initial picks onto the side of Aware here. It's going to make things more difficult. And it is Unforgiven in an awkward spot as he loses Scout here. However, Odin is in to take down Pandemic as well as Haunt. So Unforgiven should be able to get out.
No,
and he gets the medic.
The medic kill. I mean, I think if you arcaders, you should just probably realize that what you're playing against and don't even join the fight during all of that.
We're just playing Arcades Try Not to Die to Demo Night challenge right now, and yeah, he's failing it so far here. I feel like the mental's got to be slightly broken on this NANDEM side. It's got to be so tilting that you just feel that you're playing right, you're playing around your medic, and he's still just dying to this. Blank going down early as well. Odin does trade for it, but we've seen in the past just not having this Demo Man on the point, able to pressure over. It's not a disadvantage for Aware. They're quite happy having their scouts play aggressive, play on top of the point and deny these bombers or take these aggressive Ubers. It is Orange going down, and they need to make sure they don't lose one more here, because it's now a big
Lardox is creating a universe behind, by the way. He eventually goes down, but he brought so much time and attention away from the rest of his team. It could have gone very differently. And Buko, now he doesn't even feel confident about taking the rest of this remnant Uber to go in, and that's an Uber advantage. Okay, well, never mind. That's just been completely erased off the record. You have been forgiven for your sins. And God, Lardox fighting his life out there, and Odin, it's just another Sunday to him.
Yeah, he is playing out of his mind here. These swings just look like they're going absolute oceans away. I was like, no way that's going to get Arcades, and somehow it just does. He is clutching up so hard during this game here. They do have the slight time advantage now on the side of Aware as they do bust in through this left-hand side door. Soldier making a lot of space here. They do lose two, however, initially for it. Can they find anyone else on this forward hold? Lardox was the first to pull here, but it's not looking great as they also lose Sake, and it is going to be forward hold secured from NANDEM. Should mean the clocks are down to have them in an advantage position.
I'm not really sure how. It's really hard to break down who's doing what wrong. There's a lot more kind of, just moment-to-moment skill-based matched up if you either hit it or you don't. Like, for example, this charge whiffed completely. If you don't get that first initial crit hit onto anybody, it's very likely that Odin isn't going to make much of an impact in these sort of forward hold breaking places.
Yeah, it's so hard. If he gets that initial pick right, you can snowball things. There's someone not watching a door. It's just absolute chaos. It is going to be a trade coming out here, initiated by Aware, and they do have Odin looking for anyone who overextends, looking for this recommit. That's exactly what they want. Uber's out of play here, and they are busting through this door here. Odin in deep, managing to take down Blank once again, so it's a Demo Man trade during all this. Arcades goes down to Omga, though, followed up really well by the scouts once again.
Unforgiven is going to be probably thrown at right now. Everybody trying to get on top of that medic, see if they can even out this medic quandary, but it will stay alive here for where they have got the point back, and not too much time has been spent in this forward hold, surprisingly.
No, it wasn't too bad. It's still about a minute off the clock here for the side of NANDEM, but you'll kind of take that. It's quite an oppressive forward hold, and I think they did a decent job of getting out of it. Looks like they're positioned to take that aggressive Uber in through left house, and Arcades is just out in the open. It's Odin taking him down once again.
He's food. Do you understand? This man is an Uber Eats. He is just delivering over and over and over again. They need to adapt. They are just trying to stick with the regular cookie cutter TF2 and just pretending it doesn't exist. But the boogeyman is real in this world, Stephen.
Yeah, he's just always there, ready to go for that charge, ready to go for that medic. I mean, Arcades was going down either way there. They once again went for that aggressive left-hand side house Uber, which I think has worked every single time for them thus far. The only positive is NANDEM did manage to get about 40 seconds, 30 seconds off the clock during that, where they just kind of capped the point. So a good little heads-up play to delay their spawns, but doesn't look like it mattered too much. Ubers are even once again on the field. We'll see how they play this one-for-one trade, but once again it's blank going down. Not having your demo man makes things so much harder here. They do manage to cap the point, but does it matter? It's Odin gets a kill, and it's followed up straight away by Buko as well. And then now you have to think, surely it's only a matter of time.
Get down, Mr. President. It seems like they threw a soldier in the mix there to make sure they just didn't give up their medic class, and we've almost got Ubers back in for Arcades, but another demo Nan has been thrown at him, and they've just bled too many players now. And even with Ubers up for the team, they haven't really got a position to kind of use the Uber, and this is a strong place for now the rest of Aware to start from, as they've got the point. So if it does come down to a stalematy Uber fight, the time is on their side.
Nice,
and they
initial
even lose,
pick.
they drop Pandemic.
Yeah, just a nice solo here onto Buko. Pandemic overextended a bit. Odin does go down during this, as well as Aron Trier. So actually what looked bad for the side of NANDEM might be okay if they can hold on to things. The point does flip during this, don't manage to get overtime on the side of Aware, and now the clock ticking down, 20 seconds only remaining for the side of NANDEM. What do they have in their back pocket?
Alright, so clearing stickies. We haven't got really that sort of fortunate place where we just need to cap the point and we'll win out. Odin, he has makes a little bit of a splash. They actually bust through one of the houses over on Aware as well, and they're going to get the cap point, but it's brought down to that overtime sort of level. It's not quite overtime, but it's basically the time of over. And, well, they just didn't really have enough people on the point, and they got lost in all the time-based gameplay here, Stephen.
Yeah, they just sent everyone onto the point, just cap it up. It's sometimes that simple, stand on point, win game. They just had the numbers, they had the aggression here. And now it's a 2-1 for Aware. Who was thinking, looking at this match page, that this is where we would be, Turbo?
Stephen, look at the scoreboard. Odin, he's at the top of the scoreboard in the TF2's eyes, at least compared to Demo Men, and Blank is at the bottom. Is this just new generation, new wave? Is this just your average Demo Man now?
Surely just demo dip here. Boulder going down straight away on this mid should be what they want to try to get this aggression going. Yeah, that's the pocket scout. That is the carry of this team. It's Odin in deep. Gets a charge here. Not able to get anything, though. Makes a bit of distraction for these soldiers coming in. Pandemic cleaning things up very well, taking these pocket scout duties. It is going to be point capped here, but Haunts in behind, causing a ruckus.
There is one thing to be said about all this Demo Night stuff, is there's not much room for cancelling. You are clicking the right button and you are clapping your hands together and praying, my friend. And this is, I'm not only seeing this in Odin's gameplay, but in the rest of his team as well. It doesn't care what you have on your plate right now. Sate could have 2 soldiers on his butt, but he has to jump. He has to go with the timing of his demo man charging in. And sometimes it just kind of feels a bit baity, where like you just have to go in at these points, and some people commit and some people don't. And this is where like the ugliness of Demo Knight is kind of rearing its head in.
Yeah, it's just a hyper-committal playstyle, right? You have to kind of send everyone in and play of this chaos, but Haunts? Did he change to the katana to get the insta-kill?
Okay, right, yeah, that's a big brain gameplay. If he has that katana, he will get an instant kill onto Odin with just one melee hit. it would be quite funny if this is a pretty hard-stuck counter for Odin, but that does imply that Haunts needs to kind of be on top of Odin at all times, though.
Yeah, it's basically the Market Gardener against Odin, right? It's just that insta-kill potential. However, he's straight in here, trying to find a charge kill. Can't find it this time. And they are just... Yeah, they're just sending chaos behind though constantly.
Oh, they've had to use the Uber. They had him just completely down, and I mean that's the credit of Haunts as well. Haunts wasted so much time behind in their base, and I don't know why they kept Unforgiven where he was, as there were 5 other members of NANDEM that could have jumped him at any moment, and they were just worried about one little soldier on the inside.
I just think they probably just didn't have the communication to say, we know where the soldier is, you're safe to go back, right? They were just scared of Haunts during all of that. Luckily, they did manage to get the Uber force with Odin charging in there, so Arcades will not have Uber either here. But we've seen them struggle to break this forward hold previously, and they are going for basically the same play, where they just send their Demo Knight in and hope for a kill.
Whoopsie, kind of crashed into the wrong side there, but brought enough eyeballs and attention away from the rest of Aware to kind of allow them to bust through and, you know, get some solid focus fire involved. And my god, they are focusing, they are locked in, they've clicked everyone in perfect unison over on Aware as well, and there that's afforded them not only a busted forward hold, but the cap and the advantage and the Uber.
Yeah, this is really, really nice for them to get back into this game. They really struggle at the start here. We look at the clock and we're like, oh, this is not what we've seen these past 2 rounds. It's kind of been so back and forth, but it's already basically 2.5 minutes off the clock for the side of NANDEM. They're allowed instantly through this forward hold. They're trying to go behind here, but it looks like NANDEM might just run things forward. It's 2 kills for the side of Aware, but they are positioning themselves quite well, quite cheekily, completely swapping sides.
Okay, well, they're just going to ignore Blank. Blank is not really a threat to him right now, despite shooting past everybody. They're just trying to find the combo. Where on earth have they joined a different server? Hello, Boulder, are you still there? Type in the chat.
Yeah, this has been a weird round here. Buko does have eyes on this medic, and Arcades is dead. Oh, the poor man.
I'm sorry, I must have loaded in a horror game instead, because I don't think this is TF2. They were running away for the 90% of that entire exchange. They haven't even used Uber over Unforgiven. And, I mean, in situations like this, in a time-based game mode, this is not really the play.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, what do? You get through the forward hold door, but they're behind you. Do you cap the point? Do you keep going behind? You look for some players behind, but they just have no one. And it's the Uber used here on the side of Aware are going to pick up Haunts and Blank instantly there. So minimum, you've got 2 kills. Arcades is nowhere near that Uber. And you are basically evened up the time on the clock here. By the time they get these spawners, it's going to be a minute on the clock at this point. And they have a forward hold here on the side of Aware. Lardox isn't behind though.
Yeah, Lardox is behind. I'd imagine they're aware of him, though. Yeah, they've dedicated 1 player to keep track of Lardox, and they have got an Uber advantage over on NANDEM, so they are looking to kind of posture to set up ready and ideal to use it as soon as they get it, and they're just giving up so much space. Odin's the first one to put a brave foot forward, and he will go down for his sins. And the jump onto Arcades, it's actually gone through, and that Uber charge is nothing. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you look over to the side of Aware, they're wiped. I mean, you can just call that a good Uber, I suppose? Question mark.
I think it was pretty decent. Lardox finally, his flank came to fruition at the end there, managing to catch down Unforgiven. He was sent flying by Haunts, just coming in through one of the houses that was unwatched, and just finished off by Lardox and managed to get them this point. But it's basically even cap time here, and all it seems to take is Odin getting 1 kill, and they're getting cheeky. They're getting through this right-hand side. They're doing something a little bit different. The charge, it comes in. It finds absolutely nothing here. They've got so much cap time on the board here, and the soldiers, they're in deep still, straight onto Arcades. Good damage onto Blank as well here. Can they find any more kills, or can they find a way back in? As the timer ticks down to overtime here, not quite. They will cut the point just before it on the side.
I think this might be the way around. Erentra has just done so much impact on the flank as well. It's not about Odin getting those initial kills. Sometimes he lays enough impact, and his soldiers are in a position to back him up. To a double untouched, unaddressed double soldier bomb is going to hurt any team, even NANDEM. They're throwing everybody at the point, but again, not enough time. 3 rounds on the board. The nipple descends. the Bagel has disappeared, and my god, Aware are eating.
What an upset to have here. Your first points are kind of against the favourite of this season here. And they looked super, super strong during all of that. They looked like they had it under control. On the side of Aware there. They had the plays, they knew what to do, they were playing well together, and they just didn't know what to do. They felt like they were so rattled. Arcades just constantly going down, having no chance to stay in that game. And the first points of their Premiership season, Odin's first Prem points will come against NANDEM, and the NANDEM boys are not going to be happy about that. But that doesn't matter, because we've got another map coming up, and we will have to see if they can do the same thing. It's Sunshine for us at the map though. Do you think that lends it at least somewhat well to this demo night game?
Well, as we can tell, the hardest point for this demo night was just getting through these initial forward balls, or these lines where they've set up on mid and they're all kind of situated and kind of flagpoled into the ground over on NANDEM. And 5CP is basically 5 sections of the map where you can do such a thing. So in theory, this should always be a weak part for the demo man to deal with. And also, you're kind of boosted by the fact that your demo man is an expert in this thing. He's literally the other side of the coin, where he's very good at holding these areas and making massive impact in these sort of defensive maneuvers. So, I mean, it's very unfortunate that Odin is playing a game where 5CP is the predominant game mode of 6v6, as if they just don't find a very comfortable way to keep confidence going in this on this class on the 5CP thing, it's going to be a rough season for them.
Well, we will have to see how that goes and what happens. But we do have the logs on screen, and there's one thing that just instantly sticks out to me on the deaths here. It's poor Arcades. 16 deaths. That's rough.
Yeah, I think what kind of amplifies it as well is obviously these new teammates. They all haven't played that much together. So Arcades, I imagine, is entering the lot of NANDEM, or I guess, like, you know, air quotes Mandem, and you know, you want to make impact, you want to play normally, you want to like do your best, but when you've got these sort of weird TF2s going on, and you've got Boulder telling you to stick close, but if you stick close, you're just going to die to the demo man, and yeah, what is a new medic to do? And I'm told to look at damage taken, so I'm going to click on a stat I never clicked before. That's 5 digits of numbers in the damage taken stat. Usually that's a death sentence for any player, but Odin is he's a tanky boy. He's like 50% extra damage taken of the next person, and that's someone from his own team.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that happens when you're playing against a Demo Knight. You constantly want to shut him down. You don't want to allow him to get enabled here, but sometimes he just is the sponge. He is the person that, you know, you kind of want them to look at. You want them to be worried about constantly, and it doesn't even take the most heals per minute. It's Buko taking it. So yeah, obviously I think getting that health back is a big one, right? And just kind of stay in the fight for a bit longer. And how many times did we see that man just kind of get out completely unscathed from a charge where he just gets a kill, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm getting out.
Obviously Aware, a very interesting team right now in Prem, obviously making waves for the obvious reason, but not really shining a light on all these players. I feel like everybody had their moments over on the side of Aware, especially Buko, who I think was like running around with 5 DOMs at one point. So if you've got a pocket scout that's just not dying in the modern game of TF2, that's usually a great sign. So if this is a case of like, this guy has to be on fire, can't just be, the demo knight can't just, you know, suck up all the damage for that scout. He has to be playing and hitting the shots himself as well, and getting these kills and playing off that sort of space created from his soldiers, from his demo man. I think it's all kind of clicking together, you know? It's not kind of a one-note thing. It's all got some harmony to it, which is interesting to see. And kind of maybe shutting a few people up about this demo night when they've now got that first map of the season against the best team.
Yeah, you absolutely can't make this work on demo night alone. You have to have these ridiculous scouts. And you mentioned Buko, but I think Omga is always the unsung hero on this team. Was previously playing a super solid pocket scout previously, and now I think they switched Buko onto this pocket just for raw DM potential, and he's absolutely one of the best out there at that moment for just clicking on people. And when it worked out well for Buko, the man can't be stopped. And they were taking so many aggressive, just double scout Ubers through houses and just catching NANDEM out constantly. They just were never ready for it, for them to come in and be so aggressive. And then the Demo Knight charge would come in and it just would all be over. And then the soldiers unaware, always just happy to sacrifice themselves, always happy to kind of take some eyes when needed, always there to follow up on things. But new map of Sunshine, and maybe I'm thinking just the expertise and how long a lot of these players on the NANDEM side have played. You have to think, surely they're going to feel comfortable on this map and can have a bit more control. And I think they're going to be on Unforgiven a lot more on this game compared to Bagel.
Yeah, there's two different ways they can go about it. They can obviously go completely balls to the wall on top of the rest of Aware, where they don't really have that area denial or that sort of splash damage that the Demo Man can put out if Odin's rocking this Demo Knight. Or they can play that defensive line, which they were kind of opting more over on Bagel to kind of just, you know, plink him the most available player straight away and then just think that you have the superior numbers and taking it from there. I don't think that's going to work as well as it did on... as in, like, it's actually going to work better on this map, in my opinion, just because it seems a bit better for that. Odin, he's right on top of Arcades, and he's making me eat my words at the start of this map.
It doesn't even matter. Sometimes you just jump in, but Lardox coming in does find the medic, and Pandemic absolutely cleaning up house in the back here. He is going to be fighting. Unga takes him down with one clean shot. Very well played by Pandemic to clean things up, and it is going to be the first mid going towards the side of NANDEM here. Probably going to look like last point for the side of Aware.
The classic granary sort of style of mid, where everyone just kind of throws in all their players at each other's medics, and they're kind of deemed they are going to die, but let's just hope that we die a little less overall compared to you guys, and they just take both of those medics out of the situations and out of the equations. And maybe, again, this is what we were talking about, the aggressive sort of play is the better defense.
Yeah, Odin switching onto the sticky bombs. He does do this for last, knows that the Demo Knight is nothing compared to the traps that you can just kind of stick on the point and completely deny the cap. However, looking like they're getting quite a bit of cap time initially here on the side of NANDEM. Do have to back out here. Want to go for that cheeky no Ubers push here, but not quite working. But all that really happens is they're 7 back per second. There's still a soldier dancing around.
I mean, I expect him obviously to switch off from that sticky launcher, but when there's cap time on the point, even I'm a bit like humbled and thinking maybe a couple of stickies on last for just that little bit longer. There we go. He's actually switched back on now, and he's denying this one doorway and allowing a bit of his teammates to kind of get back into it. I'm going to build a sentry gun under the noses of NANDEM during all of this now, so these wild soldier aggressions are going to get tamed a little bit.
Yeah, it's just going to give him some crits here. It's going to work against them now. We'll see what they want to do on the side of NANDEM, I think. They understand that there are now stickies in play. There's not going to be a Demo Knight, so you can play this like traditional tier 2 once again, where you start looking for sacks, looking for someone out of position here. Can you find any picks on this right-hand side on these soldiers, or you go for the Demo Man on the left side here? We'll have to see what they decide to do on NANDEM.
So we've got 3 minutes of regular time. I'd assume that this is the gameplay window for Aware to get back into it. Just go for the round reset, because it's just so clunky and clumsy to just switch from this defensive Demo Man to this aggressive Demo Man, and you think it doesn't take that much time at all to switch off and kind of rotate back out. Oh, Odin, he's actually almost slapped himself in the face with his own stickies, his own greatest enemy, and I don't know why Lardox in his dying breath really wanted to attack that teleporter, but you know, that's something. And we're actually making the push out here. 3 is a big enough number for the rest of Aware to push out.
Yeah, it's looking good for them as well, forcing the Uber out of Arcades here. Unforgiven not having to use yet, but you don't want to lose these players to this solo Uber. This is very strong of Boulder.
Unforgiven. Just unfazed, more like. He just wasn't scared at all. There was a scout looking straight in his eyes, breathing down his neck, and he will not pop.
absolute balls of steel for Unforgiven. Keeping them with that Uber advantage is super, super strong, and it's going to allow them to snowball, get this midpoint for free, and now they can already look to try to take second here. Going to rally the troops, get some hills here, but you got to be careful of this Odin Demo Knight. Once again, up on things, could take down your medic if you're not careful. Holding a very traditional spot here is the side of NANDEM. I know there's some funny charges that Odin does through here.
Yeah, I'd imagine if you're Odin and you're a dedicated Demomite player, you need to have plans, basically, for situations like this. These are very telegraphed points in TF2, so you should probably have something cooked up. A basic sort of, you know, plan A, plan B, all this jazz. And it seems right now Odin's plan isn't really his plan. It's more maybe fishing from your other classes. You've got 5 other players here you can fish other picks with, but we're buffing up Odin and we're looking at the choke. Let's see what he's got in him.
Yeah, looking for a weak spot here where they can get into Soldier Bomb in initially onto Valley. Double Soldier Bomb in onto Valley. Get like, no damage on that Soldier, unfortunately. And it's a bit more pressure coming in from Choke, seeing if they can find anything. Now Big Bomb comes in. He's in behind. It's safe.
Yeah, Sake has managed to get himself in behind. I think there's something to be said about Odin in that he's maybe a slight attention lightning rod. That's 2 players sent back to deal with Sake. They've actually brought those players back to make sure that Erentra doesn't have the complete foothold, but they're in on second now. It's cost them a little bit, but they're back in. Arcades has to use his Uber from Sake, who's from behind as well, and Unforgiven has the option to get out with the Uber and play it a bit more safe here, but they're going a bit more aggressive with it because Sake has bought them a little bit of room from behind again still, but they're outnumbered and maybe outgunned. They use the Uber pretty early. Is this a force or is this just a proactive Uber? I don't know, you tell me, as Lordux doesn't even get killed by the lone little scout. That's a 2008 scout Uber if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that was messy. What looked good there just turned horrible so fast. Lordux managing to get that force, and took him about 1,000,000 years to finally die there. Allows the side of NANDEM just to kind of regroup, recouple a little bit, get this Uber once again. Both teams going to have about even Ubers here, and we'll see if they change anything. I was surprised that they really didn't do very much with that. I thought maybe they just kind of go aggressive with that Uber, send that charge in, send the scout in like we had seen previously on Bagel, where they would just go really aggressive with 2 players and tried to catch out enough people that you can just snowball it onto last, but I guess they wanted to try to hold it, and it came back to bite them here. But once again, Uber's evened out here. What do they change up here on the side for where this sack, or do they just go for the exact same thing?
They clearly have a game plan. I think it's not really aiming at Arcades so much. They're more trying to go for a flank player or get a positional play. Arantra is literally right on top of the blob of NANDEM, and Haunts has managed to cause some chaos on the flank during all of the shenanigans from Aware, and they've just kind of done a quick head count on NANDEM and realized they do have the superior health players and positions to kind of keep going forward, and they can get greedy here. Unforgiven might be actually sorry, as we'll manage to get out in time. Buko is going to take the scout taxi out back home, but that's a lot of ground given up in this small time frame. They're still going as well, Stephen.
Yeah, they are going to take absolutely every centimetre that you give them here on the side of NANDEM. Force out the Uber as well, hence Omga nearly going down to those stickies of a blank here, and they can keep on fighting. So much damage coming out, but it's Boulder going down initially here. Now they're going to try to get some cap time on NANDEM. Are they going to be able to do it here? Do they have enough players to contest here? It seems so difficult for Aware. All these players just staying healthy during all of this. Nice rocket from Trey, keep them in the game for now. However, they're losing players one by one. It's Pandemic on the point, and it's all over. Single mistakes is all it takes for NANDEM to completely crush this Aware side.
There's 2 wolves inside you, Stephen. One is whispering, just go Demo Knight one more time, you're at last. And one is saying like, yeah, but the stickies are pretty good at last though. Which one do you think Odin chose?
I chose to stay on the Demo Knight, stay true to things. I think maybe in that messy situation he could just get more done and be more of a distraction, but just did absolutely
distraction.
Nothing.
He charged. He used his only charge to go back to base and literally then went back out and died again. stickies would have made a massive impact. That's probably the hugest power peak as a Demoman to come back as defense. That full 8 stickies back out of spawn. But, oh well, it's a new day, it's a new dawn. They've lost their medic. Unforgiven has been shot out of the sky. And Arcades has got one thing in his mind: survival.
Lardok's just hitting an absolute beautiful airshot, just Goomba stomped straight down onto the medic and taking him down, and it will be Arcades staying up during this. Boulder doing a classic Boulder thing, just he's going to stay in, he's going to take every 1v1 you possibly give him. He's got to be careful of players in behind here, and it's Blank just getting bullied, man.
Well, I mean, this is quite a clever sort of composure for Aware to send one player behind and realise that Boulder had a choice. He could kind of make sure that flank didn't have any sort of fruit, which he was just standing back and make sure he didn't. And, well, that just allowed Buko to get the cap point and keep himself alive as well. It was just a mishmash of just not really committing to one choice there.
2 soldiers went in for that medic. Oh, what is happening to the demo, man?
Clip it, ship it. Everyone's going to be like, this is Demo Night. It's awful. This is bad. Let's just completely throw Bagel out of the mind. This is the 5 CP experience for this class. It's just get caught, get shot, charge into a wall, bash your head, and then die.
This is looking like a bit of a different game so far. Ubud have just evened up onto the second point, so they have a bit more of a chance to stay in with things. However, with no Demo Man holding down a door, it's just allowed the side of NANDEM to absolutely flood in here, and just none of them are in a good position at all here. They're all having to hide in behind corners here. It looks like they will try to just take a trade here, and it will actually be pretty decent. Going to be a scout solo on both sides, but just kind of allows the rest of the side of Aware to kind of get back into things. It's an Odin charge in deep. He can't find anything initially, but Aaron Trier getting a nice pick to open things up might be enough, but Lardok's just everything.
This is what I'm talking about. You could see that very situation. Sake was not in a good place to make a follow-up jump there, but he hears the sound of his people, and his people are charging in, so he has to just jump in, and he's just kind of getting baited. They're all just being baited into this awful fighting situations. It's stickies versus non-stickies on this last point. Blank has even brought out the sword. Odin's going to come back to the world living and charge back and block that point, but the heavy weapons guy is kind of putting the team on his back and making sure this last is not completely defaulted.
Yeah, Unforgiven somehow will die to the katana there. They are trying to get a little bit of cap time, but it's only 1 time, and going to be contested. It's Port's sake here. I don't think he's long for this world. Will get taken down, and with 1 player down on last, is this the opportunity that they need to just basically push it in?
I don't know why he was trying to make that push out there. I mean, I think even a lot of pub players would realise that if I'm 1 person going back into 5 people that are about to respawn, sure, I might cap the second point, which he didn't, but it's not going to stay capped for long. And now the 1 less player back up, they managed to push in with the Uber charge when they really could have done with an extra soul to deal with this last point. And I think it all gets forgiven a little bit. You know, pardon my pun from Unforgiven, but it's just because there's so much chaos happening. How can you notice these mistakes, and how can you clamp down on them if you're unaware when everyone's just doing whatever the fuck they want?
Yeah, it's definitely a messier kind of game on this Sunshine, and NANDEM just seem to understand the flow a little bit better and are taking advantage constantly of this Aware side. People just dying 1 by 1, not getting picked, so they absolutely should do. It's Blank dying once again, though, on the start of this mid. They just want to bully him.
I don't think they were aware of Haunts behind, so this is Double Soldier's going to come off as quite a surprise. Unforgiven goes down, but he made him sweat for it, however, and Boulder is obviously linked up with his team at that right timing. They obviously telegraphed that jump ahead of time and thought, okay, this is the best time to push in. And sadly, despite the coordination, it doesn't quite work out. And I think a bit of credit has to be given from Unforgiven there. He made those soldiers sweat for that kill. By the way, Blank actually came back and managed to weasel out a frag. They're actually going to chase him instead of going for the mid capture. And it's time for a second mid fight here, Steven.
Yeah, looks like it will be. No Demo Man up, a Buko going down is a very strong start here. Not losing a soldier in Valley as well. It's not too bad at all. How is this going to go? Doesn't feel like they really just have the scout presence to be able to get in on the side of Aware here.
It's just a lot of onus on Odin. Well, he actually delivers this time. Well done. And now it's very simple gameplay. Oh no, Unforgiven. He craters. Lardux putting on his best Demo 9 impression. Will get the solo pick onto Unforgiven. And now it's a different scrappy kind of TF2. There's no health involved. It's now just kind of fighting over who gets the remnants. We still haven't capped. This is probably one of the longer non-capped mids I've seen.
Yeah, that was a very, very long time. Looks like it's finally going to go the way of Aware here. No chance they're going to really be able to get back in onto this mid fight. Maybe they go for a little cheeky refight if they're feeling a little spicy, but I don't think they will do. This second hold has been so strong for them thus far on the side of NANDEM, and they just haven't been able to break it really, right? Like, we've even seen they force an Uber out, but still managed to clinch on, and I think Aware, they just need to be a bit more proactive. I think they just kind of have to go in for every door, try to go for something, and don't lose Unforgiven, I think is maybe par for the course here. Little cheeky 4-man, the banning special.
I think what's particularly difficult for Odin, obviously I'm keeping my eye on him, seeing how he wants to play, where he has to play, and how he has to take these aggressive places. And if you notice, the default places for a medic to stand is usually a little bit more back and out the open. Very hard for a Doman to kind of get the sneak up onto Arcades, but actually gets the sneak up now. They trade Ubers. It's a better Uber technically for Aware, but they haven't really finding much post-Uber positions during all this. Although Odin, he actually comes back for a second slice and gets the medic this time. They just need to keep Unforgiven alive at this point. They might be losing their heads a little bit in all the chaos, and now they've managed to set that line back and keep their medic alive. Very nice.
Yeah, great opportunity now for Aware to convert things. Just blank up. But why are you not on last, man? You have one player on the enemy team up. You should be already on this last point. They've allowed these spawners to come up, made things more difficult than they needed to be. But it's going to be some early cap time coming out from the scouts, but these soldiers coming in to deny things.
How is that scout alive?
No kills coming out. Yeah, I don't understand how he's lived for so long. Omga will finally go down here. It is Uber advantage for the side of Aware here. Taking down Pandemic as well is a really, really strong start.
Yeah, it's going to cancel or make the push out a little awkward. They have got Uber charge. I hope they haven't forgotten about this detail. They could just go into the rest of Arcades and company with the Uber charge, and there we go. We're barreling in now. Boulder's just trying to play brave, and they're just trying to play the medic. They will get the medic out of this situation, but now we actually need to find proper frags here over on the rest of Aware, and not really focusing fire. We have got a soldier. He's shooting the ground. He might get this, but they've wasted too much time during all this chaos. Imagine if they just Ubered in. Imagine if they just clicked on players with guns rather than the medic, who wasn't going to get the Uber at any point.
I think one of the big problems here that I'm seeing on last with the Demo Knight is he can't lock down the spawn at all. It just feels like every player is basically allowed out of that spawn, or allowed to contest, allowed to make things more difficult than they really should be for Aware. I think they should have absolutely been able to just win that one out. You get a soldier in deep, you get a scout in deep on that, and you just kind of win it, and then you just have the presence of the Demo Knight.
Get back here, Hans! How dare you! You are not leaving. And Erentra was not being paid attention to for a hot second whilst that push out happened, and it's bought a little room for Omga to get in behind because he was with Team Odin, and they link back up, but they're embracing the chaos here over on Aware, and Buko is feeling boosted, and we have claimed second. Have we claimed second? Boulder, it's Scout MGE. He's actually capping the point during all this, though. Boulder now wants to block it. They haven't got Uber charge over on Unforgiven. They found the line here for the rest of NANDEM to clean up this second point. In all the chaos, in all the flare, Arcades will get that Uber charge just that little bit sooner.
Yeah, that tiny 15% Uber advantage just comes out and works out tremendously for the side of NANDEM here. Odin going down, not able to come in again.
We'll get a crossbow up. It's like it never happened. Omga sneaks in, gets the kill onto Pandemic while they were healing up Blank, and just too much of a cost for what they managed to sink in for Aware.
Yeah, this feels like something they constantly seem to do, right? They want to go in and just lose basically every single player, but they lose like 3 points from doing it. They've just gone from second to mid, and now they're straight onto last. There's no way they're going to be able to even send in a singular contest here, and they're back onto their last, and where they've struggled thus far being in this position. We'll see if they change anything up. We do see sticky bombs out of Odin, and that's basically the only change. And it is going to be Uber coming up slightly earlier for NANDEM, but Unforgiven on 95%. You have to hope he gets it during this fight. Oh no, he's stuck in spawn by himself.
No, that door, not that door. That's the only one with stickies on it. Oh, Unforgiven, he's going to go down. And you know what? Even I'm not going to forgive that. Oh, why did he pick that door?
Absolute blunder here. What was looking so good last game and what we have seen in small sparks of this aware side is all coming crumbling down as it's a 3-0 lead here for NANDEM. And you have to think, how do you mess this up on NANDEM? How do you lose when you look so dominant so far on this map?
Okay, it's time to maybe get the copium cans out and start chugging, because you've got 10 minutes left. Technically, you could still make this comeback happen. You're not quite on Banny time where you've got unlimited aware. Haunts is in, by the way.
Oh my
he's
god,
slicing Unforgiven down, and yeah, he's nice and boosted back up to health, and he's going to keep going behind further and further, and it makes the game plan pretty simple for NANDEM, and they've failed that game plan. They have managed to lose their medic in the cafe area, so now it's switched to a second objective: just try and get frags, get these cleanup kills, and get the mid.
Yeah, good pincer maneuver coming out on the scouts of Aware there to manage to take down Arcades. But I just want to talk about that kill onto Unforgiven. It was just essentially a market gardener onto the demo man that ended up landing on the medic, and he was just allowed to get 3 swings onto him before Buko even turned around.
It's
How does
wild.
that happen?
It's wild to me as well, because the soldier is a slower class, Stephen. You could just turn around 180 and then walk away from the soldier. What is he supposed to do, huh?
Wow, I think he unfortunately walked into a wall. That was the problem. So, I think that's basically what happened. But we are on to the second mid fight, and actually the cap time coming out of the way of Aware. Thus far,
oh my god!
Everyone is low health here. They're still
everyone is
fighting.
clicking on different people over and the land of crossbows. You're not really sure who's weak anymore after a couple of seconds pass, and they're getting aggressive with it. They're playing the numbers. I'm liking this more. Where Buko, big Buko, finds the Lord's kill. He's acting strong and will be strong for the second point. That's one pick. They're going to get the lobby connected up. Can they push out before they make this sort of defense on last? They've actually got Pandemic rocking the heavy weapons guy. A much better choice. I was a bit worried they were going to rock an engineer for a second there.
Yeah, this is kind of your only opportunity to get in. You need to try to send your demo knight in aggressive, and this is exactly what happened. However, Arcade is just in the spawn. There was a nice charge. They're using Uber out. They're getting picked, actually, so it might not be too bad. Boulder going down as well. This is the opportunity. If they can kite out this Uber on the side of Aware, they can absolutely...
Play the point, yes! Aware! Oh my god, did I misspoke? Did I see somewhat of a game plan and a clever sort of ruse? They are so paranoid about this Demoman charging at Arcades. He just completely goes back to the spawn, but for a brief window, for a tiny window, they have no Uber. They have no sort of Uber charge to defend all their players with, and they just unison cleaned up the kills so quickly before Arcades can get back from the spawn. He's a slow medic class after all. That was nice.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice push. And 8 minutes remaining. It's still plenty of time to get back into things here on Aware to even these rounds up and potentially have a huge 6-0 upset. We'll see how this mid plays out. It's a lot more of a rotate, a slower mid. No one hard committing early on here. A lot of eyes onto Odin, but he manages to get out. The bombs come in. It is going to be Entree and Omga going down. Blank once again bullied into oblivion, but that's all they're looking like they're going to get. Haunt maybe goes down in the background here, but it's surely going to be a NANDEM win on this
Okay,
mid,
they get the
especially
Unforgiven pick. That's what they were kind of hoping for over on NANDEM. I should call them NANDEM. I know they are former players of NANDEM, but they are the team known as NANDEM. Buko, you ain't gonna kill all these players on his own. He will get a cheeky kill during all the chaos, but the scout reigns supreme with his medic class and will solidify this midpoint.
They are coming back onto mid. It's a charge in, but nice pipe onto Odin will shut things down. Orantre wanted to come down in and follow up on any damage, but not really anything significant done. And now 100% Uber advantage for the side
Oh my
of
god,
NANDEM, but they use.
Sake. Nice little sort of skip and a jump and a damage onto the right target at the right time. Well done, lad. As they will get the second point, and they actually managed to get an extra bonus kill. They're pushing last with this already, putting our best Warrior impression on. Omgo is onto the heavy weapons guy class, though, and he's going to return back on Scout. They've already got the doors locked, though, over on NANDEM, and yeah, that's a 4th round on the board. I mean, it was a nice force, but he just bled too many players at the end there.
Yeah, you can't be losing both soldiers on that. Both soldiers wanted to go for a sack there. Andre was hiding by choke, and yeah, Sake went in for the skip jump. Managed to get the 4th, but it doesn't matter when you get those 2 picks. It just allows Captime to instantly come out, and we also had the Demo Knight coming out on that last one. Once again, does absolutely nothing. Just shuts down completely here. And now it's 4-1, and now it's looking rough for the side of Aware. They put on the show, but it might not be enough.
Well, Haunts is going to jump in and try to get a cheeky kill onto Odin at the start. He's obviously playing a bit of a cocky now because he's got so many rounds up. Odin's going to get an insta-kill onto Boulder. There's nothing he could really do about that. And now the rest of the team has a pretty simple job of just isolating Pandemic on his own on this midpoint and picking them off one by one. They still haven't dealt with Odin behind and gets the late pick onto the medic class, and it's a cool game of TF2. The later the kill, the longer the spawn compared to the rest of your team.
Yeah, we'll see if they can have similar success as they did on their last push before here. Looks like it's going to be an Uber in through under here. Not having to use instantly. Finally do. Trying to look for any picks. It's blank going down. Those stickies on the point. There's a spy out as well. Is not able to do anything. And
well,
it's 2
Boulder
rounds.
is technically, he's just celebrating. He really wanted to play the long game, double agent, and he's the 7th member now of Aware. But let's hope that we have a bit of a refunded player, and it's just unfortunate those times on Spy when you just couldn't get to a player in time. People are jumping away at just that moment where you're about to stab them. It's a cool world, but maybe they'll kind of lock in a bit. It is losable on this Sunshine map for NANDEM.
Yeah, they could absolutely come back and tie this map on the side of Aware here. They look like they want to go hyper-aggressive straight away. Omga is already in through under. Charge comes in, not able to get anything. Blank goes down, and it's messy absolutely everywhere. This medic is surfing around. Arcades does go down, but it's a 3v1. Omga not able to get any more kills, and it is going to be the mid going the way of NANDEM here. Rough.
You gotta keep in mind, Stephen, as well. This mid is pretty big. It's a pretty hefty mid as well. So when you actually get this demo man fighting across, sometimes the players are just not with you. They are on different polar opposites of the map, it feels like, and you can't really collapse on all this space made by Odin because you've got something going on in your own corner,
Yeah, it is crits on the side of NANDEM here, so they will be getting it a little before, already 60% on Arcades here. Managed to get a nice early pick onto Lardox, though, on the side of Aware to get things going. Going to be a little bit of height control lost for his sake. Takes up that position on Bow Tower, but I don't think they've spotted this medigun, and it should be all on Blank.
Blank. Oh, prime time Sticky gets 1 kill. Doesn't quite. Oh, actually, there we go. The laser beams are going to fold out, and they do get a couple of other remnants. But that was a moment where it was very scary for Aware, where one Sticky could have named doom all of them, but they just got 1 kill, one after the other, and just had a nice little collapse there from NANDEM. And yeah, it was a nice timing for the Kritzkrieg.
Yeah, really, really nice heads-up play to kind of realize this was a good opportunity. They have to come back in and fight mid. They're always going to play aggressive here. So good to have that Kritzkrieg up and running. And yeah, all it really takes sometimes is the scouts just to hit their shots. It's Odin in deep onto Blank, not able to find the kill here. Boulder kind of turning up on this round on a 5k already so far. And then managing to find once again a second pick where they really shouldn't here. Aware now going to be pressured in onto last. Crits coming up from Arcades.
Oh no, why are we standing this close against the crits? I guess there's maybe the best way to deal with the crits is just kind of go into the choke, all fire at the same time. They can't kill us all, lads, but it doesn't quite work out like that. They get the charging Demo Knight to get onto the point quickly, but he just dies straight after, playing to lose, and well, there is your 5th round.
Is GG's out here. as it is a successful win for NANDEM, but an embarrassing loss on that first map, a 3-1 against Aware. They will be getting their first points to Prem, and it's against 4 previous Prem winners here. I think they'll be happy with how things turned out, but there's definitely some pointers that they can learn from this second map of Sunshine. But yeah, a very entertaining game.
Yeah, definitely entertaining. It's obviously I'm going to give a bit of credit to Aware. Whilst I am very critical and there are points where, I maybe LARP on some mistakes that I made, it's hard. They are literally creating a new element in the periodic TF2 table right now, and there's going to be, some radioactivity. There's going to be some toxicity, and it's going to be hard because they've got nothing to really base on their decisions of what feels good, what feels bad. But they need to start drawing up these rules quickly, and I think they need to draw up these rules for every situation now, because you're in Prem and people are aware of your shenanigans. This isn't about uncoordinated teams no more. If you want to go far with this strategy, you're going to have standards of what you will be willing to do with this class and what you aren't willing to do with this class. And I think this gets checked the hardest on the 5CP.
Yeah, absolutely does. King of the Hill, the demo night just unleashed, especially with these 2 scouts just go absolutely crazy on King of the Hill as well. But it feels like, yeah, they're just making those basic mistakes, losing too many players when they really shouldn't, just going for charges that mean absolutely nothing sometimes. But hopefully, as they get more experience, this team just keeps getting better and better, and we can see them be super, super competitive.
I'm a little shocked that Odin doesn't rock a... You know how you can just have a pipe launcher and just forgo the sticky launcher? So if you just maybe rock a pipe launcher in the sort of aggressive jumps across, maybe that's the key there. Maybe you don't need the little booties to kind of get that health and that spin. If you just get into this big core, which is obviously what NANDEM want to do, where they all bunch up and just deal with the Demo Knight quickly. But if you've got everybody just taking the same damage and splashing off each other off these grenades, maybe there's something to work with there.
I have terrible news for you. The booties are the reason he can turn like he can.
Yes,
without those booties, you don't get any turning.
Maybe he can still just set up... look at these positions on Sunshine. There are some lines here. There are some straight areas in the game of TF2. So, maybe he just needs to think of it as another string to his bow. And at least then it's not so one-dimensional, and they can kind of, maybe keep NANDEM confused and on the toes there. They can't really predict what's going on. Because I think this is why this has done so well in the past, is it's unpredictable, it's unfamiliar. But as the more that people play it, the weaker it's looking.
Yeah, potentially. But we'll have to see how things progress if a meta does shift. But we do have some more TF2 coming up this week. We do have a game on Tuesday and a game on Thursday where we're having a bit more regular TF2, I believe. So we're going to be seeing Aragosta face Aware on Tuesday. So
yes, that more regular TF2 coming your way. But no, it was good. It was I don't hate this. This is nice food for my brain to chew on. I'm sure it's probably frustrating and really annoying for the players because obviously they have to go off the formula, but it's fine. Everything was new at once upon a time.
It was, and that's how the meta shifts, and we'll have to see if anything changes. But I think that is all from us here on Essentials Tonight. Do follow the socials, follow the channel if you enjoyed. Any last words from you, Turbo?
No.